It was a rainy night in New Orleans, the kind that makes the city's neon lights blur into puddles of color on the street. Inside a small, dimly lit hotel cafe, a young waiter named Marcus stood by the window, watching people hurry past with their umbrellas. He was tired, not just from the long shift, but from life itself. Marcus had dreams once. Dreams of owning his own restaurant, of making food that touched hearts, but reality had taught him to expect less. He rubbed his aching hands with a towel, ready to close for the night, when the sound of the door creaking open caught his attention. Standing there, shivering from the cold, were two small children, a boy and a girl, drenched, hungry, and barefoot. Their clothes were torn, their faces pale. The boy looked no older than 7, his little sister maybe 5. "Sir, do you have some bread?" the boy asked softly, voice trembling. "We haven't eaten since yesterday." Marcus froze. His manager, Mr. Clark, had strict rules: no charity, no freebies. Every crumb was accounted for. Marcus could lose his job if he gave them anything. But when he looked into those children's eyes, he didn't see strangers. He saw himself, a boy who once stood outside restaurants, smelling food he couldn't afford. He knelt down, forcing a smile. "Come sit by the heater," he said quietly. "I'll get you something warm." Ignoring the risk, Marcus slipped into the kitchen and filled 2 plates, a bowl of soup, a piece of bread each, and a bit of leftover chicken. He placed the food before them like it was a royal feast. The children ate in silence, tears mixing with the steam rising from their bowls. When they finished, Marcus gave them a few napkins and whispered, "Where are your parents?" The boy looked down. They went to heaven," he said. "We've been sleeping near the church. But it's so cold." Marcus felt his throat tighten. He didn't have much, his apartment barely had furniture, his fridge was nearly empty, but that night, he couldn't let them go back to the streets. He took them home. He made them a bed out of blankets on the floor, gave them warm milk, and stayed awake just to make sure they slept safely. In the morning, before the children woke up, he left a small note beside them with $5, all he had left, and a promise written in shaky handwriting. "Someday, things will be better. Be kind, and don't forget, someone cares." When Marcus returned from work later that day, the children were gone. Only the note remained, now folded neatly beside a small paper heart the little girl must have made. Years passed. Marcus never saw them again. Life went on, harder than ever. He worked double shifts, saved every penny, and eventually climbed his way up to become the hotel's manager. He never became rich, but he was respected. He was kind to every staff member, every guest, because he remembered what it felt like to have nothing. Still, on rainy nights, when the wind howled through the city, Marcus would sometimes glance toward the cafe door, half expecting to see 2 little faces again. And then, 22 years later, something extraordinary happened. It was another stormy night. The hotel lobby was nearly empty when the sound of an engine roared outside, not just any engine, but the deep purr of a Rolls-Royce Phantom. The car pulled up in front of the hotel, sleek and silver, raindrops gliding down its hood. The doorman rushed to open the door as a tall man in an elegant suit stepped out, holding an umbrella. He had the confident air of someone powerful, but his eyes, when they met Marcus's, were warm. Familiar. "Good evening, sir," Marcus greeted politely, though his voice wavered. The man smiled faintly. "You don't remember me, do you?" Marcus blinked, confused. I'm sorry, have we met?" The man looked around the lobby, his gaze softening with emotion. "Right here. 22 years ago. You fed 2 starving children. You gave them warmth when no one else would." Marcus's heart skipped a beat. You're the boy?" The man nodded, his eyes glistening. "My name's Ethan Carter now. I grew up, worked hard, got a scholarship, built a company. My sister and I never forgot you, Marcus. We looked for you for years. And now that I found you." He gestured toward the Rolls-Royce outside. "It's time to return a kindness that changed my life." Marcus was speechless. Ethan took out an envelope and placed it in his hands. Inside was a deed to a brand new restaurant property in the city's heart, fully paid for. "You once gave us food when you had nothing," Ethan said, voice trembling. "Now, I want to give you everything you ever dreamed of." Tears streamed down Marcus's face as he tried to speak, but no words came. The hotel staff gathered, watching silently as the once poor waiter was embraced by the man he had saved as a boy. Outside, the rain had stopped. The city lights reflected off the wet streets like a mirror of fate, showing how a single act of kindness could ripple through time and return when least expected. That night, Marcus stood under the soft glow of the street lamps, staring at the Rolls-Royce. It wasn't just a car. It was proof that the smallest good deed could echo through decades, transforming lives. And as he looked up at the sky, whispering a silent thank you to the past, one thought filled his heart. Sometimes, the food you give today becomes the blessing that feeds your tomorrow. He smiled, a man who had lost everything, yet gained something far greater. Hope returned, multiplied, and wrapped in gratitude.